This is greytFM, a podcast series by Great HR, produced by Timber Media.
We estimate that the Middle East is expected to accrue 2% of the total global benefits of AI in 2030. This is equivalent to 320 billion US dollars. End quote. Who's the we? I'll tell you in a bit. Welcome to Great FM, everybody. Ahalia here, your host as per usual. And today's conversation is just begging to be unpacked, especially after that opening liner. But before we dive into it, just a quick line to say that if you've been enjoying our podcast and the content that we bring you, share it, follow us on your preferred streaming platform, and leave a comment. It really helps us bring you all that you HR professionals need to know from the world of HR and keep the conversation going. Now, back to that opening statement. We estimate that the Middle East is expected to accrue 2% of the total global benefits of AI in 2030, equivalent to 320 billion US dollars. The we is PwC and the inference is mind-blowing. But I have to say, I'm not really surprised. We've had many conversations about how the work landscape in the Middle East is just booming and brimming with potential. And so is AI and HR tech. Right now, if we put both of those landscapes together, you've got an unprecedented growth curve that deserves to be studied. So in today's episode, we're going to do just that. Let's take a look at how digital transformation in HR is accelerating across the region, how AI is being leveraged in talent management and employee engagement, and also some real-world use cases from Middle East enterprises. Helping us unpack all of this is Fatima Mirza, head of HR EMEA, Evonik, with over 20 years of experience. She's just the eyes on the ground that we need to understand what awaits us. Welcome, Fatima. Thank you so much for being here with us on Great FM.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Lovely to have you here. And I think I'm going to start today's episode with a bit of an open-ender, right, Fatima, just to get you talking and spilling all the beans. So we've been talking about AI and HR tech on the series for about a year now, right? The minute it entered the conversation, we picked it up. And everyone's leveraging it in some way or the other. But what I really want to understand is what makes the use case and its use case in the Middle East so unique?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Yes, you're absolutely right. So in every each HR summit and every each workshop, I only hear about AI, HR tech. And I can say from my perspective, that we all know that Middle East presents a distinctive landscape for AI and HR tech adoption due to its diverse and rapidly growing economies, also a young and tech-savvy demographic, and a strong emphasis on innovation-driven development. So if we're speaking from a UAE perspective, there are many government-led digital initiatives in place, and it has been for some time already. However, what's unique here is that decisions are made quickly, and frameworks for implementation are rapidly put in place. Therefore, we have a highly dynamic business environment that allows AI and tech to thrive. And as HR is a fundamental business function, this environment is supportive for a vast array of use cases. And if we talk about example, for example, some companies in the UAE are using AI-powered chatbots to handle employee inquiries in multiple languages, accommodating the region's multicultural workforce. The cultural nuances, regulatory frameworks, and regional priorities influence implementation, like using AI to tailor onboarding programs that respect local customs. So these factors make the use cases uniquely tailored to the region's dynamic environment. And if we talk about another example, like a sentiment analysis, this enables organizations to gauge a better understanding of their employees, especially during times of change management. So utilizing broader data sets to gain these insights earlier. And so leaders are more capable to address any matters that could impact the organization's objectives proactively.
That's a really good way of looking at it. I think there are so many nuances that come into the picture when we look at the Middle East. So taking from that on the skills side, right, what are the top 3 AI or HR tech skills that HR professionals just have to embrace and master? Non-negotiables almost, if I can call them that you believe are critical to an HR professional's success in the field today in the Middle East?
Oh, yes, sure. I will be short here because firstly, it's a data literacy. That's crucial. Understanding how to interpret analytics to improve decision making. For instance, using AI to analyze employee engagement surveys helps identify areas that needing attention. Secondly, technological fluency. Being comfortable with tools like AI-driven ATS, so applicant tracking system. So that enables HR to streamline recruitment, right? And lastly, ethical awareness, understanding bias mitigation in AI algorithm. That's vital. For example, ensuring AI screening tools do not unintentionally favor certain demographics. So mastering these skills ensures HR professionals leverage AI responsibly and I think effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Short and sweet, but, packs a punch. And a couple of episodes ago, we had a very interesting conversation. I just want to pivot it a little bit into the employee engagement area, right? We had a really interesting conversation with an HR leader from Genpact talking about the pros and cons of using HR technology and, automation, data-driven insights to really engage employees. How has that particular aspect panned out in the Middle East? What's the sentiment there, right? Are employees actually responding well to these engagement efforts? And have there been any challenges?
Yeah, I don't know if it's already innovative or became a standard because the Middle East is seeing some exciting innovations in recruitment tech shaped by its unique labor market and cultural dynamics. Yeah, for example, AI-powered resume screening. It's becoming standard. But what's unique here is the integration of language and cultural context. For example, tools are being trained to understand regional job titles, qualifications, and even visa requirements. So I'm very curious about all of that. And I was searching something on LinkedIn and I saw one position, I clicked to it. And it was the first time when I faced on the AI interview on such a high-level professional manner that I wouldn't even feel that it's not a person talking to me. So I really was astonished and amazed. Some companies, for example, in Middle East, are deploying AI-powered video interview platforms that analyze even facial expressions and speech patterns to assess candidates and innovation tailored to the region's emphasis on cultural fit. So this video interview analysis is gaining the traction. AI tools assess not just verbal responses, but also tone and body language. It's unbelievable, yeah, which is particularly relevant in cultures where nonverbal communication is a key. Or smart talent pools. Some platforms are using AI to match candidates not just to jobs, to company culture, team dynamics, and which is especially important in multinational environment, or the localized platforms. Startups in the region are building recruitment tools tailored to GCC labor laws, bilingual interfaces, and even AI-driven relocation support for expats. So that's overall, I think the Middle East is not just adopting global HR tech trends. It's adapting and innovating to meet its own needs. So the future looks promising, especially as more companies invest in ethical, inclusive, and regionally relevant AI solutions. So these all innovations demonstrate how regional hiring trends are shaping AI adoption uniquely.
Yeah, and what a great point there about the evolution of the GCC space as well. And another big area that this particular intersection comes up is, of course, talent management and hiring specifically. we've heard of like resume reviewing, screening technology, all of that. Funnily enough, even though it is quite advanced, it almost feels like old news now, with just how fast technology is evolving. Is there anything innovative happening in the Middle East, unique to its own hiring trends? Because that's also a big part of this conversation, right? The kind of talent management happening in the Middle East is very different from the rest of the world. So in terms of AI and HR tech implementation in the space of recruitment, hiring, and management, is there anything different happening in the Middle East?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very curious about it, and I was doing some research on LinkedIn, and I just bumped one of the site, and I clicked to the position, and it was interview by AI, online interview by AI, and it was so accurate. I was really astonished and amazed how, based on answers, so AI questions were generated. And I also know, for example, some Middle Eastern companies are deploying AI-powered video interview platforms that analyzes even facial expressions and speech patterns to assess candidates. And innovation tailored to the region's emphasis on the cultural fit. I think that's amazing. And additionally, AI-driven language localization tools help recruit multilingual talent effectively. For instance, one of the banks in Dubai uses AI to match candidates with roles based on cultural and regional preferences, reducing bias and improving diversity. So these innovations demonstrate how regional hiring trends are shaping AI adoption uniquely.
Yeah, and I kind of want to get a little personal now. It's always interesting to see how leaders themselves adapt to and embrace AI and HR technology. So what areas do you use AI and HR tech the most in, Fatima? And also, what part of your work has been transformed majorly by these advancements? Was it like a tricky road to go down?
It's not only my professional work impacted, so I can't live without AI. I'm using it every day. And sometimes use it even to reply my husband. So I will ask ChatGPT, so here is an issue. So I don't want to argue, but please make a point. So, and that was happening. So I have a reply where is no argument, but I did my highlights, I did my point. And yesterday I did a big workshop for the whole META region. So around 100 employees joined. So how to use Evonik ChatGPT and the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. And I gave advice to employees: whenever you feel anxious, emotional, or you're pissed off with your manager or employee, take a time, talk to ChatGPT. So it will give you such a good and great hints and methodologies. So I don't know, even breathing experience, yeah? So where you can take a pause, then answer. So don't be emotional. And it does work. So unfortunately or fortunately, we don't need now the psychologists or therapists on site at work where you can use AI to support that. And I've seen the advantage in most of the areas. So from basics, such as I'm using updating policies, writing job descriptions, analyzing 200 pages and write report. It took me before days to do that. Mm-hmm. Now it's a matter of minutes. And of course, to more sophisticated use cases, such as recruitment, onboarding, and performance management. So I'm preparing my PowerPoint presentations using AI. For example, AI-based screening tools that we mentioned before, it helps shortlist suitable candidates faster, reducing time to hire. During onboarding, virtual reality simultaneously provide immersive training tailored to regional compliance standards. So these all tools have transformed reactive HR processes into proactive strategies. It's predicting workforce needs and enabling personalized development plans. So as a result, I see improved employee engagement and operational efficiency. And of course, this is such a time saver.
Yeah, I think, obviously its benefits with productivity are probably the most talked about highlight when you look at AI and HR tech. And I have an interesting question for you about that because, I think there's a little bit of fear that surrounds that outcome as well. But another big part of this conversation, Fatima, is obviously the idea of skilling, right? AI is new. HR technology is new. It's something you actually have to work with, try out, experiment with to understand, how it can be applied to your daily life. Was there like an aha moment for you with it where you realized, oh, it's time for me to upskill? And the reason I ask this is, in the age of AI, no matter how much experience you have, like you're such a senior leader, it's still important to adopt an approach of continuous learning, right? So was there a moment where you realized, okay, it's time for me to really get down and dirty?
Absolutely. From the very beginning, when it just was introduced, I would say like more than a year ago. So I recall when I first used an AI-driven talent analytics platform, and I realized how it could uncover insights about workforce trends that I wasn't aware of manually. So it became clear that relying solely on traditional methods limited our strategic capacity. So this moment motivated me to pursue ongoing learning. So I attended workshops on AI ethics, data analytics, and emerging HR tech. I'm constantly spending time still for the self-learning. It reinforced that in this fast evolving landscape, continuous upskilling isn't optional anymore, but essential to stay ahead and deliver values. So AI is developing so rapidly that this will always continue to be learning curve. And I'm encouraging all our employees to do so.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into my closing question for you on the conversation, which goes back to that fear aspect, right? I think for a lot of HR professionals out there, and they're joined by many other professionals across industries, there is this big fear that, I'm going to be replaced by AI and automation. Now, in this scenario, what is your advice to HR professionals and how should they be approaching their work and role? Is it really the case that, so many professionals will just be out of a job, or, can a bit of upskilling save and salvage the situation?
Absolutely. So I think this is certainly a hot topic, regardless of industry and even what roles individuals are operating in. So what I know is when we lack understanding, our default is to look at technology as a threat. However, as we get to appreciate capabilities of AI and HR tech, it's evident to see the vast complementary capability offered to us rather than simply replacing us. So my advice is firstly to understand the power of AI and use the lens of how to utilize it as a partner, than to resist it some kind of enemy or threat. I can't say that, yes, everything will remain the same. So it might be in the future, in a longer future, shorter future, some HR admin roles, instead of 2 people, you would need only 1. However, for example, how it handle repetitive administrative heavy tasks, creating capacity for HR professionals to focus on more strategic and human-centric activities. So another example I can give that while AI can screen resumes, HR's role is in understanding candidate motivations and culture fit remains irreplaceable. Develop skills like emotional intelligence, strategic planning, and change management. For instance, leading organizational culture initiatives or coaching managers. That's our areas where human judgment is critical. So what I can say at the end that embracing continuous learning and adaptability will ensure your role remains vital and impactful in the AI-enhanced workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, your perspectives today, Fatima, have really shown us that, of course, this entire picture is still unraveling, right? The story is still revealing itself to us day by day. And the one thing that we can keep in our back pocket is just our ability to keep up with, the times. It's interesting. I was at a conference recently, and one of the big outcomes or the big top points of discussion was really that AI and HR technology is giving leaders who need to be in strategic positions the time to actually do that instead of getting caught up with like the small stuff, as you mentioned, the administrative tasks, the repetition of it all. I think it's freeing up time for leaders to think, right? Which is what we need them so badly for. Well, thank you so much, Fatima, for joining us on the episode. And I think it's been a really informative one for anyone listening.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that. It was my pleasure.
All right. So stay tuned, everyone. We've obviously got more exciting episodes coming up for you in the future. And, if you've been keeping up with the series and also with the general great HR zeitgeist, you'll know that we have been running the idea of getting great with great HR, right? We've really just embedded great AI, our AI-driven recommendation engine within the Engage module, which helps employees articulate feedback more effectively and recognize peers more meaningfully. And I think it's so relevant to the conversation we were having today because you can see that, technology like ours is really listening to the needs of the workplace today and tailoring itself to exactly that. So one of Great AI's core capabilities, in fact, is analyzing tone in written communication and offering suggestions to improve clarity and empathy. So I think there's so much exciting stuff for us to look forward to. And we're just going to keep exploring it in the episodes to come. Stay tuned, stay safe, stay happy, and stay great. I'll catch you very soon.
This is Great FM, a podcast series by Great HR. Produced by Timber Media.